viewers correctly pointed out that Israel is about maybe 80 years old or something. So Iranian are like that. Iranian, when they are feeling a foreign threat or invasion or attack, they get united. So about the last 6-7 hours, we had a few attacks on Tehran itself. The major one. Sorry if I'm talking too much. Just step in and tell me. Otherwise,
No, go ahead. People
yeah,
want to hear.
yeah. So in the last 6-7 hours, we had one major attack. It was in it's a residential area of the military personnel, and it was a big explosion, and even the smoke is still there. But it was not a military compound. Actually, it was a residential area of the military personnel, which is located relatively in East Tehran. Other than that, there are minor throughout the night. There are minor uh, incidents like drones, small drones, and bazookas and everything. I don't know if you know about it, but more than 90% of the attacks that takes place in Iran are carried out by Israelis, like agents here. So the airstrikes are very limited because Iranian air defense is still up and running and holding it tight, and they're doing great actually. And so in the first couple of days, it seems like we caught out by surprise, especially about these inside attacks. But the police and intelligence services, they did a great job. They find most of the agents, and they tighten up the situation on them. So we are just seeing them less and less every day. And yeah, that's about it. One other thing, like I think 6-7 hours ago, Iran announced that the world should wait a big surprise, which is for centuries and so on. From my understanding, for the first time during last night attacks, because right now here is 8 a.m. So if I'm using last night, I mean maybe 4-6 hours ago. Last night, Iran used a new missile. It's called Fatah. It's a supersonic missile. Only 4 other countries in the world has such a technology and such a missiles. One is United States, Russia, China, and North Korea. So no other nations has that uh, kind of technology and missiles, and Iran used it for the first time during the last 6 days. Maybe they are referring to that when they are saying that the surprise of the century, but I'm not sure. Maybe we should wait for something else that comes up during today or tonight. So that was like a introduction to the situation. Most of the people that left Tehran during last days are elder people or people with children. So if I would say from the city of a population of maybe 10-12 million, maybe 3 or 4 million only left, and the rest are here. And the morale is high, and they are very united, and they are very furious about the Israel to take such a action and attacking Iran. So this is in general. I'm here if you need me to give you any information, I would gladly do.
What's the in terms of the people within Iran, what's the feeling like? Like, what's the situation? As I know you mentioned everyone's united, but are they ready for a very long conflict? Like, what's the thoughts and processes?
I can't say that everyone feels the same, but most of them, there are mixture of different feelings. Like they are frustrated, they are angry, they are afraid, they are scared. But mostly people think that it's not gonna last that much.
جامل فينو
But
عندنا ده
I mean,
ياكل
the
عيله ده
war is not gonna last that
ده
much.
بدولار
But
الواحد من ده
again,
بدولار ده ب
just
66 سنت عليه تخفيض اهو
for
عشان مدة
here
صلاحيتها
when
قربت. احنا
Iraq
عندنا الحاجة هنا لما مدة الصلاحية
attacked
بتاعتها بتكون
Iran,
قربت تنتهي بينزلوا
it's
في السعر
somehow the
بتاعها عشان
same
ما تترميش. هنا
situation,
كانت بدولار
which they wanted to
47
topple
سنت
the
نزلوها ل 66 سنت يعني اقل من
newly government after the revolution and so on. At that point, also Iranians were thinking that this is a war only take 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but it lasted the whole 8 year and turns into the longest war of the century. So I cannot say exactly how they feel, but most of the people, when you talk to them, they think that it's not going to last that much.
They don't think, okay, that makes sense. And I've got some more questions for you. I'm just trying to pull this tweet out. But yeah, Josie, have you got some updates from your side?
Yes, so they are doubling down on censoring people directly. They find ways to find location of people that talk to people outside of Israel. They will go in the bunker and seize the phones themselves. A lot of people already have two phones. That's not something new. It's been common practice. Um, Apparently, that if people are getting out to take pictures, there's brave photographers that go on top of buildings to go take pictures. Apparently they're getting shot. We don't know if it's rubber bullets or actual bullets, but that's the update. The censorship is getting totalitarian. What a democratic country. Hmm. Yeah.
Extreme censorship in Israel. They don't want the people to speak the truth about what's going on. Appreciate the update, Josie, from
Mhm.
the ground in Israel. Guys, I'm just putting a tweet in the nest. It's in reply to Ted Cruz. I would do want you to retweet and reshare it because unfortunately, because when I got my blue check mark bar off removed, my replies don't be seen by anyone, unfortunately. So I've retweeted it myself, so it's on my main page. But if you can retweet, reshare it, that'll be fire. And the reason for that is because he's quote tweeted the Tucker Carlson interview. We've already mentioned two of the snippets from that interview. And the Tucker Carlson interview, remember, he got exposed about a wide range of things. It was about the fact that Israel spies. And what was the other one? The earlier clip with the bigger one. I forgot what it was about. It was about, I can't remember now. Was it APAC? But I can't remember what it was about. I'll check it in a second. But Ted Cruz did a long interview with Tucker Carlson. He released a snippet playing. Oh yeah, he didn't know the population of Iran. He did a long. So this is what Ted Cruz wrote. He did a long interview with Tucker. He released a snippet playing a gotcha moment on the population of Iran. I declined to play that silly game. Watch the full 2-hour interview where Tucker attacks Trump, attacks the APAC lobby, and falsely claims Iran is not trying to assassinate Trump. And then your boy did a comment, which is Iran isn't trying to assassinate Trump. That is Zionist propaganda. But an Israeli Jewish Zionist called Joseph Neumeyer was planning to assassinate Trump. Israel has a Samsung option where they nuke their allies, including the US. So Israeli nukes are a threat to US citizens. Will you ask them to denuclearize? So that tweet is in the nest. I do want you to retweet and reshare that. I want you to get that out. That would be golden. Appreciate it. And also it'll debunk, because obviously people are going to be looking at his tweet and the propaganda he's spewing on his tweet, and therefore what'll happen is people will see that, and that's a very important tweet. Maybe other people who don't normally be on our page will see that. So if you can just retweet that, reshare it, I think that is extremely, extremely important because a lot of eyes will be on Ted Cruz's page, especially Americans, especially right-wing Zios. So that would be much, much, much appreciated. Retweet and reshare that. I can see we've already got 128 likes and 142 likes and 81 retweets. If you can do that, like and retweet it and put a comment in, that would be golden and highly, highly appreciated. Important tweet. Want to welcome Miz onto the stage. She's in the co-host. Where you been, Miz? I ain't seen in bedtime.
Well, outside of cursing people out and then going back and deleting everything I cursed in, I've been kind of listening in and catching up on things. But I'm here for it. I'm in to help out for as long as I'm needed. I'm making some coffee right now. So what's going on?
Awesome. Coffee has become like the drug to keep us going because it's like I'm smashing so much coffee out now. It's unbelievable. But appreciate you as always, Maze. Boykin, I believe I did interrupt you earlier. Do finish your point, and then I'll go straight back to Amir. We've got a few more questions for him about Iran.
Oh, I forgot that point. I was going to ask Amir about what's going on in Iran right now. I am sending healing energy to you and everyone in your family and everyone in Tehran right now. The resilience you guys are showing by not cowering in the face of aggression is something Americans need to learn. One of the questions that I have for you, Amir, is when the attack on the TV station and the radio station happened, how did that affect communication, and what were your feelings about it?
Thank you very much for your love and support. Let me just explain a bit about Iran, like atmosphere, about media and everything. So most of the people in Iran, when I say most of the people, probably I'm talking about 80% of the people, are not that much into watching the state television. So they are not getting their news from the state television. They are not watching the programs on the state television. They are more into the satellite TV channels and also the social medias. For example, me myself, I don't even have a television in my apartment because I don't want to be influenced by any media in any way, whether it is CNN or Iranian state television. Anyway, so but the very interesting point is when the attack took happen to the state television, even those people who are not watching the state television were furious. I mean, they were so angry, and every single attack happens, and every single missiles or every single blast or explosions happens in Iran. It just make people more angry and more determined in defending the land and defending the people. So the first day when the attack started, it was the morning of Friday, I think. 6 days ago. In the middle of the night, for a couple of days, people were confused and they were scared and everything. But each steps we are unfortunately we are taking into this war, people are getting more determined, and more the morale of the people is getting higher, and they are more supporting the military. Even those people and those class of the people who are opposed to the suppression of the government, like for the women rights and those kind of thing, even those people are also encouraging the government and encouraging the military to defend the country. That was about it.
Thank you for that perspective, because a lot of people misinterpret misinterpret. They don't misunderstand. They misinterpret that, okay, if we target certain aspects of what we think or what we assign as cultural values, then automatically the Iranians are going to feel the same way. And talking to somebody who actually lives in the area and who knows the area and knows what's going on gives a better insight. Okay, I live in a very insular part of the United States where people don't want to talk to other folks to get a better understanding. And I'm glad I'm in this space to learn more and make sure that I am appreciative of sharing with other folks.
Thank you. Can I add something else as well?
Sure, go ahead. And then I have a question for you after. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, Iranian people, first of all, as much as Iranian missiles are doing good, Iranian influence in the international media is so poor. I mean, the government has lost the media war completely. I understand that instead of if it was any other country instead of Iran, that would be probably the same case because the whole media, mainstream media, is being controlled by Israeli lobbyists and Israel itself. But still, Iranian are so poor. Iranian government is so poor in managing the media. So people outside Iran really don't know what's happening here. Really don't know how is the feeling of the people and what is going on inside here. And that's a very important thing that I think we are missing here as Iranians, that our voices are not going to be heard throughout the world. And the second thing is that Iranian people are very they are very complicated people. It's actually a funny thing even between us because they are, mostly people are like that they, if they have something and if they think in some ways, or if they, for example, if they are conservative, they are conservative in any aspect of any issues and any subjects in the life. If they are liberal, if they are whatever, they are just practicing it in every aspect and in every situation. But Iranians are not like that. Iranians are so complicated. You might see someone who was consider himself or herself as the opposition of the government of Iran, but right now they are chanting for the military and they are chanting for the missiles and they are chanting for defending this country. So it's very complicated, and that's actually a source of misunderstanding for other governments and other countries. And that's why actually Israel has the miscalculation and based on these misunderstandings, as you pointed out, that they thought that because people don't watch state media, or because maybe there is a big portion of the people they are against, or they are at least criticizing the government. So if we hit the state media, they're gonna chanting and they're gonna be happy or anything. But it's actually completely opposite.
Hey, is it okay to post a couple of updates here?
Yeah, cost. Just give me 2 seconds. Guys, just the tweet in the nest. I did promote it before, but it's extremely important in the sense of to make sure that we raise awareness about these important points. So Ted Cruz, obviously, as you know, did the Tucker Carlson interview. He got exposed on a couple of issues, in terms of the population of Iran and how he wants to nuke Iran without any evidence and so on and so forth. And then the second one was about the fact that Israel spies on America, and apparently he was asked about APAC and a number of other issues. You can see his tweet is kind of crying and losing his mind over it. So I want you to do me a favor, The tweet in the nest is a comment to him. Obviously, you know, because I got my blue check removed, my comments aren't seen as opposed to my normal tweets. So in there, if you can comment and retweet and like it, that would be awesome, because we want to raise awareness about the Samson option, the fact that the Israeli Jewish Zionist Joseph Niemeyer did attempt to assassinate Trump. So I think those are important points to know. So if you could do that for me, that would be awesome. Go ahead, Tiana, sir.
Wait, is this a new one up here, Sully?
It's the same one. The Iran isn't trying to assassinate Trump. I just want to get more eyeballs on it as much as possible. So that's that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I stepped away for an hour from the screen, and I came back and I got a bunch of updates. I hope you didn't get these already. Number one, starting tomorrow for 100 days, no oil tanker for LNG shipment should be allowed to pass through the Hormuz Strait unless approved by Iran. This policy's just been announced. I've got one source on that. Also, we've heard before. I don't know if anybody's reported this already. I put it in the pill too. There was actually two more shipments. China begins shipping mystery cargo to Iran. According to the Telegraph, a cargo plane took off from China on Friday. Then the next day, a plane took off from the coastal city on Monday, and the other one from Shanghai. I have the travel route where they turn off their transponders, but I don't have a blue check mark. I didn't paste the whole thing in there. So they've received 3 different plane loads from China. Previously, I only knew about one, and there's some other stuff. If give me a couple minutes to gather it all.
Did you say give you a couple minutes?
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm coming through some other info I have, but those 3 planes and cutting off the LNG for 100 days. I don't know if you mentioned that in the last hour. I just came back and saw that.
Well, I just got here. So I'm not sure if they did or not either. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to kind of just run through what's been happening in the past hour since you've already been gone. You can maybe run through them if it's quick.
You guys go ahead. Let me comb through some things here.
Okay,
Can I say something about this Strait of Hormuz thing?
Sure, and then and then we'll go
Yeah.
to the.
So what happened is there's this Mr. Khandouzi, which is the former Iranian Minister of Economics. He suggested that it's not a policy and it's not a decision yet. He suggested that the government should control the Strait of Hormuz, not a blockage, but control, and decide what shipments shall pass and what shipments shall not. It was only a suggestion made by Iranian former Minister of Economics. That's it.
I heard that it was actually a hard stop on LNG for 100 days without permission.
Yeah, that's a suggestion, actually. That's a suggestion. It's not a policy and it's not a decision, official decision.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. I see Godfrey up here, and I see Josie's hands up. Go ahead, Godfrey. I don't think we've heard from you yet, and then we'll go to Josie.
Yeah, thank you, Maze. Suleiman, if you're still up, I wanted to comment on what you had mentioned probably like 5 hours ago while I was listening about, how Trump didn't deliver on any of his promises, and pretty much you were like, what has he done? And, from my standpoint as a Trump voter, I'm beyond spooked right now. There's no Epstein arrests. There's not even a semblance of Epstein justice. We had that binder incident thing, which was one of the biggest travesties I've ever seen. There's no hint of COVID trials for Dr. Fauci or of any of his collaborators. And now, he's walked back his position on deportations. I mean, pretty much everything he said is turning out to be a lie, as it seems now. And right now we're on the brink of World War III. And instead of using our military to dismantle the Samson option, which is the greatest threat to mankind without question, he's using it to go to war for the nation who was behind the Epstein ring. And when I put it like that, because not enough Americans are seeing this properly. Like, he is literally using American troops and planes as the police force for the people behind Epstein in the Middle East. And when I say it like that, I think it will resonate more with people to understand the gravity of what we're dealing with right now. Like, he is literally acting as the Epstein police force in Iran right now. And there's no other way to say it. I mean, you can try to sugarcoat it any way you want to, but when you say it like that, I think it really forces people to reconcile with what we're dealing with right now in the Middle East, which is that we are a completely occupied nation, and we're using our own military, putting our own servicemen at risk to be the police force for this evil nation. And I just can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe we're here. So just wanted to say that. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your comments and completely accurate and on the ball, and appreciate the fact that you're a rational thinker. Liz, back to you.
Yeah, me too. I hear you battling with some folks in space. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're definitely a soldier. Okay.
I'm always
Yeah.
boxing with people.
You definitely are, and it's crazy because you know, I kind of watched and observed over time where there's people who are really rooting for Trump to get in, and then you got those, like, you know, crazy diehards. You could tell that there's something off with that, but I saw you slowly transform into asking questions, and then, like, you know, just demanding better of your country and the people that we put in to run it and to make decisions. And you know, and that's what it has to be. Like, if we're not demanding better, I mean, I saw people sitting there like, well, if Trump knows more than us and he decides he thinks it's best, shut the F up. I didn't even say the F word. I didn't say the whole word. But it's like, you're really going to just jump ship that easy? Like, where you're not no longer, no war? How are you just going to go be like, okay, Trump says so? Anyway, I appreciate you guys for it, for real. That's why I always bring you up, and I always respect you because I've watched how you battle it out for truth. So good job.
Thanks, Maze. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, let's go to Josie, and then I think Jay has something to share with us that's quite interesting. I'm looking over that now. Go ahead, Josie.
Yeah, so just an update from Israel real quick. So apparently they are, so instead of issuing an alert 30 minutes become incoming fire from Iran, instead a preliminary directive is sent roughly 10 minutes before sirens sound. So they get like about 10 minutes instead of 30 minutes. I'm not sure why they're doing that. And apparently that, okay, so Israeli media claims that what's his name? The one that got assassinated. My friend asked me to double check if that was true. I was like, I have no idea. So Suleiman might know. Gosh, what's his name? They claim that they assassinated what's his name? Come on. I couldn't can't find it.
For my own sanity, can you explain what you're...
Oh yeah, sorry, my God, I forgot you were in there. Okay, I have a kosher phone. Okay, with kosher friends in Tel Aviv. I'm like scared of just saying that. It's just crazy. They're giving me update out there from the bunkers, and the kosher phone is basically a phone that is pretty much like
They
Israeli
legit call
phone.
it kosher phones? That's what they call it?
Yeah, it's a phone that like it tricks the location of the phone. It's like it thinks I'm in Tel Aviv, so I get that, and I can text my friends that are over there so they don't get in trouble. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to get into. I don't want to incriminate myself like that. Okay. Um. Yeah, I'm gonna ask when I find the name. For some reason, I can't freaking find it. I'm trying to translate at the same time too. But yeah, they reduce the alerts instead of ringing 30 minutes before the missile is coming. It's 10 minutes. I'm not sure why they're doing that, but apparently that's what's going on.
So what, they're supposed to know 30 minutes before a missile comes? Like, how long does it take for the missile to travel? I mean, I guess, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know either. They just know that they
About
don't
4
get a lot of
minutes.
time. They don't get a lot of time, and they made that decision.
So you said 4 minutes?
It's a 10
Yes,
It
minutes.
depends on
mostly
if it's
about 4 minutes.
hypersonic or if it depends on hypersonic or ballistic.
So they're mad they don't get a whole 30-minute heads up? I'm confused. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I could totally be
No,
misunderstanding.
it's the Israeli officials, that are in charge of warning the Israeli people that a missile is coming. Instead of ringing the alarm 30 minutes before, they decide to give them 10 minutes before instead, which is kind of counterproductive. Go figures. I don't know, sounds like they want to play oh, look, they're killing a population. Playing the victim card. We all know that Bibi Netanyahu is crazy enough to use his own people as leverage.
Okay, well, I think what I was saying is that they probably don't, they didn't, I don't know, whatever. I don't know what the norm is. I mean, if you're saying the normal is 30 minutes, unless this is what they're doing, like, we're gonna launch at this time, so everybody over there has a heads up. I just never thought that war was this way. So when they began telling people, like, do this because this is where we're gonna hit, I'm like, is this theater? Like, it's just weird to me that they do that, but I don't know. Again,
That's because
it's,
they have radars. They can detect them through radars.
but it
So like
takes 4
they
minutes
ring.
though. But it takes 4 minutes for, like, I guess maybe there's a slight difference for hypersonic versus the other one. So that's what I'm saying. How would they even know to give them that much of a heads up? You see what I'm saying?
Good question there. I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
It's if I may, it's
Sure.
basically last night is basically different than the last 5 days, because last night Iran was using hypersonic missiles, which only takes 4 minutes to hit, and that's why they are confused why Israeli government is not giving the heads up way before the missile reached Israel, because ballistic missiles took longer, but hypersonic missiles only takes 4 or 5 minutes to hit.
Ah, thank you. Now that makes sense. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification. All right, Jay. So I saw your message. Tell me what you got here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Excellent job keeping the news flowing. Thanks for letting me back on stage and for all the great coverage. Shout out to the rest of the panel too. Obviously Suleiman, Batru, Teller, KC, Mays, Khaleesi, you guys have been doing a great job. So, but yeah, so some news that happened a little bit earlier today that folks don't, may not be paying as much attention to given everything that's going on is a new funding source, I guess you could say, is being expanded by the U.S. government with the passage of the Stablecoin Act that just went through. So, for those who don't know, our bond prices have been going up recently because our credit rating as a country is going down, unfortunately, and it's getting more difficult to convince countries and institutions to buy U.S. government debt, but stablecoin issuers give them a new way to start raising money, because as people use stablecoins like USDC and USDT, which are cryptocurrencies that track the price of the US dollar, as people use that, the companies that provide that service are holding US treasuries as collateral. So the more demand there's going to be for stable coins in the future, the easier it's going to be, to fund the U.S. government. So the act that got passed today isn't all bad. I do think, there are good parts of cryptocurrency once people are self-custodying that folks should look into. But, it's good to take a look at the funding sources, for these wars, because if we don't address the Federal Reserve and the privately owned currency we have, the country can continue to be manipulated by whatever interests, control the money supply. And there are several different ways we could take that. JFK wanted a publicly owned treasury where I'm sorry, not a publicly run treasury, where he gave the U.S. Treasury Department the responsibility of printing money. Bitcoin is a hard asset. Gold stable coins are hard assets. So there's many ways, we can remove power of the money supply, from the Zionist interests that are controlling it right now. So, but yeah, to circle it back to what happened today, take a look at, stable coins and how they can be weaponized, actually, which is a slightly different topic. Because if you're worried about CBDCs, then stable coins can pretty much be a private sector implementation of the same technology. So take a look at that bill. It's I put it down in the purple pill down below. So, but yeah, great space, everybody.
Yep, I was talking about it's the Genius Act, and there's two parts to it actually. One is very more of the transhumanist side and how all that will play in the next paradigm, and then but the first one is about the stable coins, and so I don't know if you saw the other part of it, but yeah, that is pretty much what it is. It's a privatized version of the CBDCs, and it could still be programmable, the usage of your money, and so thank you for bringing that up. But I do plan to eventually have us when kind of maybe things settle a bit. I'm gonna have a space where we go through that. Thank you, Jay. I wanted to welcome Truth Teller back. Welcome back, Truth Teller. So I had a quick question for Amir, and this is something that I guess I don't know too much about, like how well, like the regular army. Can you tell us about the differences between maybe the regime's military IRGC and the regular army? I mean, are they typically working well together? Why are they separate? And which functions would each be in charge of? Are they separate? And I have a follow-up after that.
Yeah, sure. Um, well, it goes back to the days of the revolution. When the Islamic Revolution happened in 1979, I guess, in your calendar. When it happened, the army of Iran was much under influence of the Shah. So the revolution forces gathered and established a force and called it the IRGC. Especially because in the first couple of years there was attempt to coup by the army against the newly established government. So what happened is they established this IRGC to protect the revolution. That was the main purpose of establishing such a force. But very shortly after the revolution, like less than 2 years, Iraq attacked Iran. So what happened is these two forces, the official army and the IRGC, they both got involved to the war, and it took them 8 years. And by that, what happened to IRGC is that from a guard force of the revolution, they turned into an army-like organization because of the war, and they just grew as big as the army. They had even more personnel than the army, but in terms of equipment and in terms of strategic existence, both of them were almost like each other. But what happened in last 30 years after the war is that the government doubled down on IRGC for the strategic things like the missiles, like the drone programs, like anything new and strategic is happening in the hands of IRGC. And they are actually very smart, and they are really, really brave in terms of bringing innovation. Because, you know, most of the things that they made here, like drones, like missiles, although they use the patents of other nations and other countries like North Korea or something, but they made it mostly local. So, for example, when they are making missiles here, they don't import anything or any part or any equipment from abroad to make them. They are completely independent in making missiles and drones as well. So I hope that the explanation is enough. But yeah, anything strategic falls in the hands of IRGC, and the army is more in charge of the classic kind of military. They are mostly in charge of keeping the borders. For example, the air force of the army is stronger than the IRGC, and the navy of the army and the navy of the IRGC are almost the same in terms of power and equipment. So they are like working together. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The reason why I'm asking is because there seems to be a lot of Mossad agents and a lot of, like, I don't know, internal, what's the word? I don't know if it's espionage. It seems like somebody's letting these people in. Do you think it has anything to do with that? Do you think they're trying to pull maybe another coup present day? Or do you think that this is completely, they're just penetrating the nation and being able to, because I mean, I don't know. This is just purely me asking out of curiosity, but it seems to me that how they're getting in and how they're getting in their intel. It could be technology, maybe. I don't know, but I just wanted to throw that question out there to see what you thought.
Well, anything I say is not information. It's just my thinking and analysis, because I don't have any information in that, and the government is not very like sharing these things. But I guess that it's the espionage or the agents penetrating is not something systematically, and it's definitely not going to end in a coup or something. Because if they could, they already would have do it easily, but they can't. And I guess that it goes back to the how they structured all these military organizations. The structure is somehow that they cannot do it. Most of the generals, high ranks, are those who were loyal since the 80s. The 3-4 generals that have been killed last week. They are all the generals who were even participating themselves in the Iran-Iraq war. So they are so loyal. They cannot be bought or talk into a coup or something like that.
I see. It's interesting.
Can I ask Amir a question?
Yeah, of course.
Just on that point about the assassinations. So there's this rumor floating around that these are targeted assassinations, and for the reason you mentioned is because they're absolute loyalists, can't be bought off. They'll never be reformists. They're conservative, and their commitment is to preserving the state, of course, and they're against nuclear talks. Now, what Israel wants to do is wipe these individuals out, but there's way too many of them, in my belief. But yeah, they want to wipe out as many as they can so they can install, or so the reformist stooges can essentially take their place for potential negotiations down the road. And so that's part of the reason why they're doing this attack. Do you believe there's any truth to this rumor?
Well, I don't know about the rumor, which is not true actually in general, but the way that you laid it out, it's not actually right, I think, because, for example, General Bagheri, that was the commander of the chief of the armed forces, who has been killed 5-6 days ago. He is considered to be a very moderate person. He's not he wasn't conservative. He wasn't a hardliner. He wasn't a conservative, and he was actually the most powerful man in Iran in terms of military. In most of the internal turmoils, like the movement of the woman life freedom, or if you remember the election of 2009 and all the things happened after that, General Bagheri was always a moderate guy who was pro dialogue between the government and the people, who was against the use of force against the people who were in the streets and everything. So not all of them are conservative, and the layout is not that if a general is a reformist, then for sure he's going to be pro negotiations, or pro dealing with US, or pro coup, or anything like that. So I hope that I cleared it up a bit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. That's just a rumor that's floating around that they want to let guys in, like, I'm tired right now. What's that? The guy that was doing the negotiations for the nuclear agreement the first time during JCPOA. What's his name
Zarif?
again? Zarif, yeah. They want guys like him around, essentially. Maybe you know
Well,
why that guy has voice.
he's not that much a military man. He was he was a diplomat early in his career, like in the 70s and 80s. But yeah, I get your point. But it's not like that. And to some extent, actually, also you are right, because if we consider a military guy or a military general who thinks like Zarif, probably he's not going to go up that much in the ladder.
Okay, so for the most part, then the top tier dominated with hardline. Well, when I say hardliner, I don't mean that they're not negotiable at all, but they stand by the status quo that Iran's entitled to enrich uranium, and that's non-negotiable. It's their national
Yes.
right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and if I can just explain something about the attack, the beginning of the attack of Israel 6 days ago. What happened is, Israel thought that if they come in and assassinate some of the big figures of the government, especially the military, then the people will come out to the streets and they topple the government. I think that was the understanding of Israelis to carry out such attacks and
Yeah,
such
to
a...
incite riots and try to incite a revolution again.
Yeah, exactly. But it turned actually exactly opposite, because the Blitzkrieg, in German terms, that they think that they do is already took 6 days. And if we don't want to consider the rhetorics and the speculations of the situation, and only stick to the facts, Iranian nuclear program is still operational after 6 days. Iranian missile program not only operational, it's actually intact and operating very well. The government is not actually shaken, and also if you look at the other side, Israel cannot actually defend itself against Iranian missiles. So whatever the aim of Israel was, it didn't happen in last 6 days. I mean, if it was the nuclear program, if it was the missile program, if it was toppling the government, none of them happened. The only thing that happened, of course, Iran took big blows, but what is happening right now is that Iran is like hitting Israel with missiles every day and night, and they cannot defend themselves. So that fact gives me the idea that the intervention of the United States is will happen probably with a very high percentage, like 90%. I think that the United States is going to intervene, because Israel is not going to keep up such a situation for long. Like, they are
So I
spending
agree with you. I agree that
they are
America's most
spending.
likely to intervene soon,
Yeah,
but I
sure.
also believe that Iran is prepared for that intervention. Do you believe that as
They are
well? Like that's
prepared,
just
but
gonna.
when they are prepared, but when it didn't happen, when we don't have the experience, and when we don't have a history of such a war, we cannot say what is the outcome is going to be. Either United States intervene and Iran is going to be invaded like in 6 months, 1 month, or either United States
No, there's not going to be an
inter
invasion. They're not going to do
yeah.
an invasion. They're going to do some strategic strikes. They may help with the B-2 or B-52 bombers,
Yeah, yeah. So
but
we don't know.
no
We
one's
don't know what's
invading
going to
in
be
the
the
short term.
yeah, what is going to be the outcome. We don't know that, but I'm sure that the United States is going to intervene, because Israeli government is spending $285 million per day for defending against the Iranian missiles. How long do you think they're going to keep up? 10 days? What about after that?
Yeah,
How
no, I
much are they
understand.
spending per day?
285 million a day,
285
but
million.
that doesn't include cost of damage as Iran has caused, so it's a lot higher. And to be honest, and Iran took out a battery, which is very expensive to replace.
True.
But yeah, uh, okay, all right, that makes sense in terms of the. Okay, here's the other rumor that's floating around. Israel's trying to do similar to like what say Al Qaeda did in Syria. So they're striking infrastructure. Apparently, they struck a university as well. So they struck a university, two hospitals, and also that radio broadcasting station. And they're trying to go after the natural resources, the oil, probably the gas supplies. They had an oil depot already, for instance. They'll probably strike a port. I mean, they're not hard to figure out. They've done the same playbook before because they intend to do a regime change ultimately. So they want to try to cripple the country. That's what they're trying to do. But I don't think they'll be successful because they don't have the missile tech, like they don't have hypersonics, for instance, and they don't have the air superiority they were hoping for. Their F-35s, four of them have been knocked down, plus F-16s. So how are they going to do it on their own? They can't. So they either need some very strong proxy army, along with the help from the U.S., maybe the U.K., etc. Kind of like what happened in Syria. But Iran's not Syria. It's too big. It's, I believe, too powerful. They
I
got the
got a
IRGC army,
breaking news, I
etc.
think. Sorry, I think breaking. I don't know if you guys broke this already. That was updated 20 minutes ago now. The Pentagon is expediting the deployment of the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier and other ships to the Middle East. Two U.S. officials told NBC News.
Yeah, Nimitz has already been deployed a while ago. That's already been known. So
Gotcha.
Amir, yeah, they're trying to replicate the strategy in Syria, but they don't have the proxy army, and Israel's not strong enough to do it. They're begging for the coalition of the willing to help them. Do you follow me so far?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Exactly.
I believe that Iran understands this, that that's what they want to do. Now, what do you see the role in China and Russia? I know they've been advising. I think China might deliver some shipments. Do you think they'll intervene if the U.S. gets in?
Most probably not, especially Russia. I'm sure they are not going to intervene because one of the advisors of foreign policy to the Putin said, like day before yesterday, he said that we do not have that much economical engagement and trade with Iran to consider Iran as a strategic partner. So we mobilize all our assets and all personnel to defend Iran. So that was very blunt and very direct from a foreign policy advisor of Putin. So I don't. I'm sure that Russia is not going to intervene. And what about China? I think it's going to be only the political support, maybe, and also military equipment support. But China is not gonna intervene as well militarily on the ground. They have their own problems, both with United States, and they have their own problems with Taiwan, so they are not going to intervene as well.
Okay. Uh, I think everything changes if there's a ground invasion. For the time being, like Iran doesn't need the help anyway, so and there's no
And I don't
need.
think Trump is very into this idea of ground invasions as well.
Yeah, it's going to result in a lot of troop losses. It's guaranteed. So I'm just curious to see if when the day comes when Iran actually strikes any of these U.S. bases surrounding it, if push comes to shove.
I saw
This
anti-NSA thumbing down. I don't know if it was something that he disagreed with
Yeah,
or.
I disagree with that statement. Um, I agree. If I don't think that they're going to jump in, but if that there is a ground invasion, whoever with the last commenter just made that comment, I completely agree with him. I don't think that China would be hands off, or Russia, especially with the amount of intel that Iran currently possesses about the strategies and the the drone technologies. I mean, Iran has been 100 percent partner with Russia in battling all of NATO for the past 2 years. They've had they've had an evolution of drone warfare and defenses. They've been sharing ballistic or they've been sharing missile technology, hypersonic technology with Russia. The Kinzhal Russian supersonic and the Chinese missile program, I believe that they all share different dynamics, and if there was a ground invasion, the level of intelligence that could be acquired by NATO, I think would go against Russia's strategic interest on that alone, and that's not even talking about the other strategic relationships that they have. And I also believe that China, as I posted earlier, they have had three planes. And China has forcefully stated, came out very strongly against Israel's actions, and especially when they attacked is the nuclear reactor in Iran. I think if there was any kind of nuclear attack, like a tactical nuke, which seems to be one of the possibilities Israel might do, you would absolutely see China react. I don't know, possibly faster than Russia. But I wouldn't. But then again, I mean, I also think that Iran probably has a lot of higher caliber equipment that they're not using, especially the Guam family of anti-ship missiles, and other missiles that China has probably said, unless it's absolute necessary and you're in absolute danger, don't use these unless the last, so that they have some things to use under emergency use only. Hopefully we don't get to that level. But they are very, their economies and everything, and it's honestly, it's really a shame. I mean, that 400 billion-dollar railroad that just got completed from China to Iran was just completed 2 weeks before before this happened. You've seen shipments. What was it? I forget how many days it took to go from China, but that's a huge engineering accomplishment to have a railroad directly from China to Iran. This is a successful version of the Belt and Road. Um, so anyways, that's why I gave the thumbs down.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's tap in with Josie real quick. Then Abu, I'll come to you. Then we'll go to Jay.
Yeah, the Starlink, people who got Starlink, apparently that it's working like dog poop right now. There's a known loophole for that kind of stuff. Apparently that loophole still works. So all odds point towards Elon Musk being Israel's bitch and slightly shutting things down without really shutting them down. That's just kind of weird. And if you want to get Israel news directly, like from Israel, the same news that the Israelis on the ground in Tel Aviv are getting right now, NordVPN still works. There's a 3-day free trial. Okay, like this is not promo. I'm just letting you know. 3-day free trial. Set the VPN to Tel Aviv. You can read the Israeli news. You can even just translate it from Hebrew to English. It does it automatically if you got your phone set up for it. Okay, that's all.
I'd be really careful with NordVPN.
I can't hear you.
I heard that NordVPN was compromised.
Why don't you mute Josie so
I
that
would
because there's
suggest
feedback.
Astral VPN, ASTRILL. Nord, I heard, had some issues a while ago being compromised.
Okay, well, that one has a 3-day free trial. A 3-day free trial. So if y'all don't want to pay but be compromised, there's your option. If not,
Yeah, but
download
that's only
Astro.
3 days. What after that? I mean, you got to get something, right?
But this is America. People want it now. Hey, I'm just giving you a tip. That's all.
All right. Thanks, Josie. Go ahead, Abu.
Yeah, so pretty much Israel went into this thinking they could pull off a knockout punch strategy. And the idea was simple, take out Iran's top military guys, their scientists, maybe trigger some internal chaos, and boom, just like that, regime collapse, game over. They thought Iran was basically a house of cards waiting to fall. And we've seen now, 5 days later, it didn't work at all. Iran replaced their commanders within days. And what's really wild is they've actually turned the tables on Israel's biggest advantage, the
See,
spy
within
network.
hours.
Oh, hey, this is a big news break. You want? I don't want to interrupt you.
No
Um,
worries. Go ahead.
so I hear about jet being destroyed. Just released in 2 channels. A hostile F-35 was destroyed in the Javadabad area of Varamanan City. Security and military teams are investigating. I've got Farsai in English. I'm gonna put it
This
in
is that fourth fighter jet that was destroyed.
this. Well, they're saying here. I have 2 different reports about it here, and Nafash Kordovad, senior correspondent of the BBC Persian. Are
Can
we?
you send me the link that whatever you have that
No,
you're
no,
looking
no,
at? Can you
no.
send that to me?
Yeah, I've got 2 different versions. One of them says it's the 5th, but the other one, I thought the 5th was shot down earlier today, and the other one doesn't have a count on it. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll put it in the pill right now. Give me 2 seconds.
Can you explain what he just said? I'm sorry. If you don't mind. Truth teller, please help.
Okay. Well, I still have to look at what he sent before I can really comment. But
Okay. Well, yeah, that's
properly. But what he was trying to explain, I was asking him which fighter jet he was referring to, which got struck first, second, third, fourth. And then, but he gave details about the location and all that stuff, which hadn't been previously disclosed. I mean, there's a lot of information out there, so I was curious to see where it took place. To see, because then I'm
So
wondering what flight got.
I put the first part in, and I've got to split it up because I don't pay for genocide to Elon. But let me see here. Give me 1 second. And so yeah, it's an F-35. Governor of Vermont said, and it's not the only source. So give me 1 second here. There's the
Is this
first
breaking
part.
news right now? Because we've been seeing a lot of
Breaking news.
F-35s being shot down. So this is probably like the fifth one, right?
This is breaking news. This is I haven't seen any about locations. I haven't seen this location at all. So as far as I know, this is brand new info.
Truth, is there any
Wait, so they
word on
just
the
struck
interview
down?
of the pilot that was
Supposed to happen tonight,
Well, you know,
Iran's time.
yeah, there right now it's like 9 in the morning, right? So I guess that will be coming out, and also tonight's going to be the night that you remember for hundreds of years,
they're
right?
gonna be
So
interviewing a female that was caught from a downed
not
F-35, right?
not one, but they said they had
They had two people
two
being interviewed,
pilots, two
two
pilots. Yeah,
pilots.
we know
Okay, cool.
we know the rumor that the first one was a female, um, but we don't know about the second one. I haven't heard anything about whether it was a man or a woman.
This is a huge blow
So
to the
there,
entire F-35 program. If they actually shot down 3 F-35s, this is a major blow.
well, not three. Well. So I thought that one that we heard about earlier, where they were looking at for the person that ejected, I thought that was number 5. And this information here, one of the articles says it's the 5th, and the other one
Damn,
says
that's
that
crazy.
it's an that. So if according, maybe this is the specific city where that pilot ejected earlier, but I thought that was a way different city. This is according, if I think this is the 6th F-35 actually, not the 5th. I think they had a mistake there.
That's
But
honestly incredible, man. Iran's doing a hell of a
well,
job right now.
well, I'll tell you what. And I think the bombers that need to carry those, geez, how much does a Moab weigh? What is, I forget how much it weighs. But to have something that slow to carry that much weight, I mean, where they got 75,000 pounds of payload, I think they're scared to fly the B-1. I don't have the specifics on how fast they go, but I'm sure that they're much slower than the
Yeah, they're not as
F-35s.
stealthier
Yeah,
as the F-35. It's not even close. And if they're slower, then
what
they're an easier
they're like
target.
20 years older or something, right?
Do you know what
Um,
time we're gonna be getting this
Yes.
interview?
well, they said that they're gonna do it tonight, and if I recall right, that was after 12 a.m. their time, right? So they're not
Well,
gonna
it's going to be
have the
pre-recorded, so it'll get
yeah
released at whatever time
yeah
they want. They're not going to do it live.
they're going to make sure that everybody they want to do it not only the question is they probably want to do it for the American audience or the people that are awake to see it, so there could be all kinds of publicity about it. They're not going to do it in the middle of the night when nobody's watching. But they also said, I
It's
mean,
Right.
going viral no matter what.
yeah,
What
and
kind of
but you got
information
to
are we expecting from that? Like,
They didn't give an exact time for the releasing the interview. They just
right.
said that we are releasing it very soon, but they
Well,
didn't give an exact time. And I think I'm agreeing with anti NSA that they want to release it at the time that they can have the best impact they can get, whether
that's
it is the regular audiences or even the governments and even the military personnel of Israelis and United States and everybody
Amir,
else.
what's the
that's
goal
right.
with
And
releasing this interview? Like, what would be the main goal for Iran with this interview?
Well, first of all, hitting down an F-35 is something that didn't happen ever. So Israel is not going to come forward and say how many of its aircraft has been taken down by Iran, obviously. So announcing it, and everybody else, and usually Israel always accuse Iran of saying lies and everything. So they want, I think they want to prove that they did it, and they took hostage the pilot, and they want to prove that, but they want to do it at a time with the maximum impact.
Actually, earlier tonight, I posted the TV station in Iran. They had went off air, and they had a screen, like a solid screen, and said, "Get ready for some." I was looking for the post in the pill. It says, "Get ready for something that will be remembered for 100 years or so." And I had thought when they went off air and they put that screenshot on their public TV, I thought that the interview was going to come then, and this was right around the time where the Security Council meeting, well, with Trump and everybody was ending. So everybody, Channel 12 and everybody was putting out the message that tonight America was going to attack and join the war tonight, and we saw all those ships leave, port, and it seemed like it was going to be on right there. I had a feeling that that was the time they were going to do it, but because there was no attack, they did not put that video on. So that's probably like a strategic release. What they're going to do, I'm sure they're going to do it tomorrow. I mean, I would guess that they would, or they're going to use it strategically as a strategic release to say, hey, you better think about it really good before you send any more stealth planes over, because there's that to shoot down five, 4 or 5, even 1 or 2 F-35s. We've seen them crash. We've seen them get destroyed in hurricanes in Florida, but we've never seen them shot down, I believe, in any warfare. If you remember the first one, I believe they shot down, that sent the stock price down a pretty huge hit. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's still going down.
yeah, that was a pretty big hit. I'll give up the mic.
Sorry, Amir, can you confirm if 5 F-35s have been struck or 6?
Before this news that anti-NSA said, which I cannot find anything in Iranian medias and Iranian outlets and channels, but before this one, I think the count was 4 F-35 and 1
I think
F-15.
it was 5 F-35s. The one that ejected today, they said was F-35. I From those two reports. That's why it's surprising to see that this report. Well, I had 2 reports that had this information. Only one of them gave a count, and the other one didn't give a count. So either or perhaps this afternoon, when that pilot ejected, the name of that place that we had was the province, and this is a more precise area. I'm not familiar with the area. I can't.
Tarmahal?
If somebody wants to look through the pill, they'll find the post from earlier today, with the specifics of where that last pilot ejected.
This actually changes the playing field here, because Iran has proven time and time again that it has the capability to keep going in this war. Meanwhile, Israel's claiming that Iran's about to run out of fuel. They're about to ask for a ceasefire. But the fact that Iran can shoot down F-35s, that alone is a huge game changer in this narrative, because a lot of people didn't know Iran had the capabilities to do that. So it's going to be developing over the next few days on after the interview for sure. But this is already a lot of breaking news right here. Excited to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and
So
that's
if you remember, like I think it was 2018, if I'm not mistaken, Iran took down an MQ-9 over the Persian Gulf. The MQ-9 is also a stealth drone. So after that, And if you recall, President
Hold on a
Trump
second. Hold on a
thanked
second.
Iranian forces.
Can I ask you that drone, that MQ-9, is that the same drone that was shot down like 6 times by the Houthis in Yemen? The same model drone?
Yeah, that's the same. That's the same thing. Yeah, that's the same thing. Like 5 times or 6 times by the Houthis as well. So back then, even President Trump thanked Iranian military to not taking down the other plane that was flying with the MQ-9. That one also penetrated Iranian airspace, but they didn't take that down because there were military personnel on that plane. But MQ-9 was a drone, so they took it down. I think Iranians knew from that point that they probably have the ability to take down aircrafts like F-35 as well, but they obviously they didn't practice it, and it wasn't actually practiced anywhere in the world. It didn't happen. The
Well,
one that they took down first,
earlier,
the first one
I
that
think.
they took down a
Well,
few
wait a
days
second.
ago, it was
Was
the
it
first
truth?
one.
Was it true? Somebody on here earlier was talking about that they had developed an algorithm that detected the predictable flight patterns and maneuverable patterns. Somebody on their panel was saying that. I didn't find that
It's part of what the
research
air defense
myself.
system does. It's adaptive,
Yes,
right? So this way it
yes,
can more
yes.
accurately target fighter
Somebody
jets.
said they did successfully developed an algorithm. And if so, that's phenomenal. That's great.
Yeah, the only phenomenal thing about it is that they they actually developed it themselves. They didn't get the technology or the algorithm from another country.
Well, you can't
Because
really
I
be
think
sure.
because I think
You,
because I think at least 5 or 6 countries in the world they have the same technology, like
well,
Russia, China.
yeah, I would actually guess that China and possibly Russia, it's in their best interest. You have to understand what's happening right now in Iran. That is a battlefield test bench for all kinds of military contractor for China and Russia. Ukraine is being used by NATO to test all their newest equipment, and so it is an opportunity that I wouldn't believe that China and Russia did not have an interest in seeing how tools work against NATO for their own safety. So that they actually, those shipments that came I mean there's a good chance we could speculate what's in them, but that stealth technology, I mean, look at those devices were found by Mossad, the Starlink controlled strikers and drone launches. I was thinking to myself today, can you imagine all the big players in the world, America, Russia, China, that saw air defenses getting taken out by agents the same way that Spiderweb took out 30% of Russia's strategic bombing fleet, how they had drones in the back of trucks. Well, that those trucks that had those drones that launched against Russia's bombers, those are actually the kind of trucks that are used in military parades in North Korea. Those camouflage, they look like normal trucks. So you could be sure that China and Russia paid they paid really close attention. What were those called? Strikers? I forget the name of the stingers or those mobile devices that took out um, their air radar remotely. So it is they're totally rewriting their whole air defense system, understanding if they get attacked, that same technique could be used again. So they know, okay, if we're going to get bombed by still stuff, let's help Iran and let's see what works. That way we could use it to protect ourselves.
But what you are saying is completely logical, and I can understand it from a logical standpoint. I don't know about China because China has a very strong ties economically with Iran because Iran is selling the oil 30% discount to the China, discount out of the market prices. So
Well, sure.
I
They
don't know
they
about
they, they import well, they import 83% of their oil, and 50% comes from Iran. And like I said,
exactly.
I don't know why I don't hear anybody ever mention the railroad system that was just completed to Iran. That's huge. That's
Sorry, can I interrupt real quick? Sorry, Myron, I know you're listening. We don't see you on the panel. I think you need to get out and come back. Oh, crap, I think he just closed the space on the stream. Damn it. My bad. Oh, well.
Yeah, so that is equivalent of a pipe, like Turkey talks about making the pipeline to Syria and everything. Look, that is the equivalent of a pipeline to Iran. That rail system that project that was completed 2 weeks before the the war started. You know, right before the announcement that we stole this data, that they stole the data from Assad about the nuclear sites, and I mean that's so, the timing is unreal. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I don't see him. Is he coming back, Josie? If so, just give me a heads up and I'll be on the lookout for him.
It looked like she disconnected too.
So somebody actually just sent me a DM explaining what capabilities Iran has to actually target F-35s, and it seems like there's this new Chinese radar, JY-27V, that could detect U.S. 5th generation stealth fighter jets. So that's interesting. I've never heard of this before, but I'm gonna post the article down in the purple pill. Truth, do you know anything about this?
But the 6G fighter jet that China's has already produced?
Yeah, apparently they have this like stealth killer radar that media claims can track both F-22 and F-35s and guided precision strikes. So it's incredible if Iran actually
Haven't
has
started
this.
mass producing that yet.
Yeah, it's called the J-27V radar system, or JY-27V radar system, manufactured by China Electronics Technology Group, and it was showcased at the 11th World Radar Expo a while ago. But yeah, if Iran has their hands on these, which I assume they do, seems like China's already involved in this war.
All the blood, the smell.
Interesting.
All right.
China,
Oh, go ahead, Abu, and then we'll go to Jay.
yeah, China's definitely heavily involved in this. They're the ones that brokered that peace agreement between the Iranians and the Saudis. So their interests in keeping stability in this region are paramount. And also the spy networks, the Mossad spy networks that were in Tehran, are absolutely getting rolled up. The underground drone factories that were the cause of most of the bombings in Tehran are getting discovered. There's videos all over Twitter of IRGC officers catching Mossad operatives all over Tehran. And that's where everything changed, because when your quick knockout strategy that Israel tried, basically quick regime change, fails, you're stuck exactly in the kind of fight that Israel can't win, a grinding long-term war of attrition. And, really think about the math here. Iran's 10 times bigger than Israel. They got Russia and China backing them now. And while Israel's burning through their missile defense budget, they're spending $285 million a day just to keep their Iron Dome running. Iran's being patient. They're not even using their best stuff yet. Iranian officials have literally said that they haven't deployed their most advanced missiles. And that's part of their whole strategy. They're bleeding Israel dry without even playing their main card. It gets messy for the U.S. because Israel's losing a conventional fight. The pressure's building for them to do something desperate, like hitting Iran's nuclear facilities at Fordo. That's what today was all about. Back and forth. Trump's been flip-flopping all day. Deals, war. Deals, war. The last thing was 2 U.S. Officials say that strikes on Fordo are still on the table. But what happens next? Strike Fordo, and Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, period. And if you don't believe me, look at what's happening right now. The U.S. Navy just moved 9 mine countermeasure ships into the region. Qatar, one of the world's biggest LNG exporters, told their tankers to stay out of the Strait of Hormuz until it's time to fill up. So they're making them wait outside of the strait. And these aren't moves that you make just for theater, you know. These are moves that you make when you're genuinely worried about a global economic meltdown. And the Israelis got the Americans trapped. They can either watch their main ally get slowly defeated by Iran, or they can join the fight directly and trigger the exact crisis they've been trying to avoid. And the bottom line is pretty much this. This is what I think people are missing. Iran isn't going to just give up their nuclear program because Israel bombed some buildings. Why would they? This whole war has basically proven to them that having nukes is the only thing that guarantees their survival. Israel's war faction made a massive miscalculation. They started a fight they can't finish, and now they've dragged America into an impossible situation. And this theater thing, the theater theories are over. This is real, and the momentum completely shifted. Iran is winning this war of attrition, and everyone knows it, even if they don't say it out loud. Thank you.
I think let me just I just want to jump in real quick. I agree with like definitely 98% of everything you said, but the part about dragging, I don't even use it as much anymore, because when I go back and look at some of my posts and content that I was working on and stuff, Pentagon officials have been leaking to like NBC News and stuff about possible war with Iran and stuff that they were planning for a while. Like, so it's like that fifth column of those Zionist Jews that pretty much have this stranglehold on this country. But I still don't call it dragging, because nobody has balls to come out and say anything about it. But this is always like in the plans. Because they've been talking about it for so long. So I guess that's just but everything else you said, I definitely agree. I don't want to get hype, and like Iran is definitely doing pretty good, for sure. And there's just no way that America's just gonna sit back and allow Israel to get pummeled, and what? That's it. The home of the Jews just gets pummeled, and that's it. And America didn't do anything about it. So we already know where this is going, and it will draw other countries into it. It's just, I can't see another route. So yeah, I just wanted to add that. But I really like your analysis, Abu.
Go ahead, Jay, jump in.
Wait, hold on. I'm not sure if this is breaking news or not. I'm not sure if you guys already spoke about this, because I just joined the space earlier. But apparently, the former Minister of Economy, Khanduzi, in Iran, said starting tomorrow for a period of 100 days, no oil tanker or LNG shipment will be allowed through the Strait of Hormuz except with Iran's permission. So I'm not really sure if you guys already spoken about this, but this is huge. If this is like actually true, well, the source is Fars News, so I'm assuming that it's true. But if this is true and this policy is implemented, it's gonna cause a lot of chaos.
It's true. It's the next best thing to having a nuclear bomb, because with this trump card that Iran can play by closing the Strait of Hormuz, think about it's 80% of the world's ship. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 80% of the world's shipping traffic goes through that strait. It's their maximum trump card. It basically drags in the entire global world order to come and pay attention to this situation and come and get a solution to this issue. That's what it would do. If they feel that the Americans are about to strike them or have stricken them, they will shut down the Strait of Hormuz. It'll cause mass global economic collapse, and this will force the world to come together and find a solution to this problem. That's basically the card that they're playing. It's like the Armageddon card for them.
Interesting. This is actually incredible, man. Like the strategy by Iran is just perfection, and you would expect it from the people who literally invented chess. But this is just the way they're executing it. We're only 5 days in, and they're about to bring the whole world to submission, man. It's honestly incredible. Props to all the Iranians in this space. You guys should be proud of yourselves, man.
And just one last thing to say here. Yes, definitely props to the Iranians. Do you know how their missile program started? in the 8-year war against Iraq, they did not have missiles. All they had were mortars. They could barely bomb into the first couple of kilometers of Iraq. They went to Syria to get Scud missiles from them. The Syrians rejected them, saying that the Russians won't allow them to export Scud missiles to Iran. So you know who they went to? They went to Libya, Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi gave them B-Scud missiles. The first time ever Iran hit Kiryat in Iraq for the first time ever. After that first strike, Gaddafi cut off all Scud missile exports to Iran, and they reversed engineered the first Scud missiles from Gaddafi. And from that reverse engineering till today is what you see them able to do because of the corner that they've been pushed in since the 80s, because of the corner that the Western world's pushed them into. They've had to develop the ultimate deterrence with these weapons that are giving hell to the Israelis.
Thank you. Let's tap in with Jay, and then I'm going to welcome Richard and Abu, the other Abu. There's another Abu that just joined us to the stage. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, it's a great strategy we're seeing played out in real time, and I think it, just goes to show how strong, of a country Iran is, and that's why, I wanted to point out, in addition to speaking about regime change, they're also trying to balkanize Iran. So they want to break up the country. In fact, if you go down to the purple pill, you'll see I had posted a link from the Kurdistan army, a page called The Guardian of Kurdistan. And they claim that Iran is not one country, but a collection of smaller countries under one tyrannical regime. So that's probably, an example of what America and Israel are ultimately going for. You know, they do the same. They have the same goal actually for Russia. If you look at some of the maps people have put up, they actually imagine Russia breaking up into a few different territories, and they think it's a easier way for them to come in and rape the resources of that land, because it's no longer one strong defensive unit, but a collection of smaller units. And if you look at what Iran is doing, not just launching all these missiles and causing all this damage to Israel, but also now shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. That is a powerful country that they don't want to have to deal with. So hopefully, I think Iran is a pretty strong country. From what I've read, it seems like the people there have been through a lot, and I don't think the balkanization efforts will be successful. But I just hope people understand this is how the empire thinks. They run off divide and conquer. That's what they do wherever they can, and they're trying to in Iran right now too. So go look at Kurdistan pages, and you'll see they stand with Israel. They have a presence in Iran, in Syria, in Turkey, and a few different countries. So keep a lookout for what they talk about also.
Thanks, Jay. Go ahead, Richard. Welcome. Nice to see you. Jump in.
Maze, I wish I could say it was nice to. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey.
Yeah, so the situation, truth, did we get confirmation if it was 5 or if it was 6 F-35s?
He dropped. I'm waiting. I just DM'd him to ask him where he went.
But the fact is, whether it's 5 or whether it's 6, if Iran has successfully shot down 5 or 6 IAF F-35s, only one of two things is possible. Either Israeli pilots absolutely sunk balls, or they're getting help from the big boys. And by the big boys, I mean the Chinese, who have the avionics on Israel's and our own F-35s, and they understand their interests are better served in the region by maintaining peace, not allowing NATO and global Jewry to go in there and basically take down Iran and like the previous gentleman said, balkanize the region, overthrow it, install a puppet government the same way they did with Ukraine. And I'm not sure that in 2014 had the United States been as J-pilled about the CIA and Mossad and Israel's aims and
and Ukraine's aims and what they're really up to. That the color revolution with John Bolton and fucking Victoria Nuland and the overthrow of the Ukrainian government in 2014 would have been as successful, because now global Jewry has probably less than 10%. I would even venture a guess as low as 5% within the United States, and many in the American citizenry, and as much as they can, are helping act against NATO's interests, because this is really a UK, NATO, Greater Israel, New Israel central play, and fully behind the Iranians. But what you have to look at, and don't discount them, blockading the port starting tomorrow and not allowing any oil passage or any shipments coming through that area without Iranian permission, as well as now you no longer have air superiority without the American military and its F-35s and its F-22s getting involved. You have a big psychological shock, and now Iran and behind the scenes, I believe, the Chinese and Russia can play the same game at Israel that Israel likes to play with everybody else, and that is quickly acquire your scarce natural resources and then use them to extort you with so that you do what they want, like what they're doing with Syria and Jordan and Lebanon to a lesser extent. But I would watch out for the deal actually being more favorable for Iran, the original nuclear negotiations deal, because if the United States isn't fucking dumb, they're going to get wise to the fact that, okay, not only have we lost the first F-35 ever, it seems like they fucking cracked the code on taking them down. So either they've got the smartest people in the world, or they've got our avionics, or Israel, pilots are just retards. And so they're not going to assume that Iran has smarter people than they do. They have the avionics, and that completely negates Israel's ability. So they, like 2 people ago, whoever it was that said Israel bit off more than they could chew, that's absolutely right. And Truth talked about this yesterday in one of the spaces, in that it's impossible for Israel to destroy Iran's nuclear facility, which I truly believe that they do and have had nuclear weapons for at least, 15, maybe even 20, as many as 25 years. But they don't have the ability to destroy the facility without the United States getting involved. And the American people and the United States are making it clear that we don't want to get involved. And Trump is going to do everything that he can, from what we're hearing, to avoid direct confrontation. And I think the Chinese and the Russians also realize that as well. And so what they would rather keep Israel in between a rock and a hard place and force Israel to negotiate the situation from a position of weakness, where they have to give up things to get themselves out of the war that they started and just assumed that Big Brother would help them finish. And that's not going to be the case, because I don't see Iran striking a base of the United States in the Middle East. I could see Mossad or Shiatat probably doing one of the strikes on one of our bases in Qatar or Tehran or what have you. There is no situation where, at this point, Iran realizes it has the upper hand, and so it's going to do something to justify getting the United States actively involved. And besides, the American people don't want that. The Chinese, the Russians don't want that. The Saudis don't want that. So I think that what we're seeing right now is probably the best case scenario, and let Israel eat it on the chin. And if they continue to just be, Zio lunatics, then let them learn to clean up whatever bigger mess they go ahead and create for themselves right now, Mace.
Thank you. You know what I saw this matter, I need to go find it. I think I bookmarked it. Was you know, there was a, like, going back, it was Michael, what's his name? Tripioli? Gosh, I can't remember his last name either. Anyway, let me go find this, but I just think it's really interesting looking back at how this narrative and the actual verbiage has been used for a long time. But you did make some excellent points around the fact that, you know, how would they have been able to be so great at shooting these down? And you know, kind of the element of, did they get help? Or are they just that smart? But either way, though, like, what, I mean, what do you think would be the, what do you think, like, where do you think they would have got the intel from if they did get it? And then what do you think?
The Chinese, 100% Maze, the Chinese.
That's interesting because I thought the Chinese was, you know, I mean, I know that the Chinese has been helping Iran, I think, with weapons, but that's actually an interesting point. That's an excellent point. Nobody's brought that up yet.
We know that they've been selling the F-35 avionics to the Chinese. Israel has, and that's one of the reasons why we would not get them our exact F-35, while we did a slight modification downward on the F-35I, the model that we gave to the Israelis, for that reason, because this has been a long frustration of the United States, is that Israel takes our shit that we give them and then they sell it to the fucking Chinese.
Damn, so that's interesting. That's a really interesting point. Good shit. Let's tap in with Abu. Um, Abu, what's your take? First of all, welcome. Thanks for coming up. What's your take?
Thanks so much, Maze. Thanks for holding down the fort again, by the way. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm still catching up on everything that's happened, but I've heard a lot here about the Strait of Hormuz and shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, and that Iran might or needs to do that. Is it okay if I opine on that, or is there anything specific you want me to go in on?
Whatever you want.
Okay, cool. So I've actually been looking at or trying to model out the potential impacts of what would happen if the Strait of Hormuz were to be entirely shut down, together with if Iran were to also target the oil fields around. And my view was initially pretty balanced, where my initial assessment made it look as though the US would actually come out pretty decently. But then I went back and checked my sources, and I noticed that all the data that I took into my analysis that gave me that opinion, when I checked where do those sources come from and who are they paid by, they were all US neocon think tank backed or Israeli think tank backed. As soon as I discounted them, what my analysis shifted entirely, or the output of my analysis shifted entirely. Basically, as far as I can tell, if Iran were to just blow up the energy market in the Middle East, the winners that would come out of it, at least according to my analysis, are number one, Iran, number two, China, number three, Russia. And Europe would be one of the biggest losers in that situation. And it would basically, I think, reset the entire calculus. Aside from that, there's one thing I came up with because I'd like to try to come with original stuff. Now, this goes to the morality of Iranian society, irrespective of what we have been told about the mullahs supposedly being evil or whatever else. Now, when October 7th happened, what did Israeli society do to Arabs in Israel? It started harassing them, persecuting them, it started following them, it started arresting them and throwing them into jail right away. What's happening in Europe? Muslims are being called fifth columns and potential bringers of terrorism and God knows what. Well, even though Israel launched a vicious, disgusting war of aggression on Iran, there has been zero news that has come out, and you know that it would if it had happened, about Iran persecuting or holding responsible its Jewish community. That is the difference between the societies that we are dealing with. In the West, you find the minorities that you are going to hold responsible and scapegoat and you punish them. In Iran, you do not. You hold Israel accountable for Israel's actions, and you maintain your principles and you protect your minorities. Thank you.
Well said, Abu.
Yeah, that was a great point as well. Thank you. Go ahead, anti-NSA.
Yeah, the speaker before, who accused China of stealing stealth technology from the Israelis, you know, that sounds like a lot of anti-Chinese rhetoric,
It's not
and
that
I
they
don't.
stole it; they had it sold to them, buddy.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
that that happened.
So, so I don't know when people, I don't know how you know it. Maybe you do know. I haven't seen the evidence of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen with every major country in the world trying to common espionage to try to get to see what the other guy's using to make sure they could defend their country. China's new generation stealth technology, I would guess, is much farther ahead than what the U.S. has. I think that you have to take into account China has 18.6% or so of the world's population, and the amount of technological development and scientific know-how that that they have in that country. I don't know if you've spent time in China or seen their technical advancements. It go from China to the US and it looks like you're going to a third world country. Um, I I think that we have to remember that Israel has been one of the most largest armed proliferators, selling weapons all over the world to South America when it was going out of fashion during the Contras, and they've got such a history of armed sales. I'm sure that China sees Israel as a dangerous country, that is a competitor, which they might have bought. If Israel's got anything, who knew that people in Israel liked money? but uh but if they did get some of their parts, that's not to say that they need. I mean, look at what's happening in the chip industry. When I mean, they'll develop smaller nanometer chips, and their development is off, is they don't need to steal from the US anymore. And their missile technology, I mean, that's a prime example. I don't see the US having anywhere close to hypersonic missiles. And China, I'm quite sure that Russia's hypersonic missile and Iran's hypersonic missile technology was adapted from Chinese hypersonic technology. And we're not even talking about, like I said, the Guam ship destroyer missiles and stuff. So to try to base China's whole weapon development success on the speculation that they have what they have because they were able to get American technology from Israel. Maybe that played a part, as it does to everybody, but a lot of their stuff is homegrown. And
That's
That's
not what
not
he
what I was
said.
look at the
alluding to.
look at
That's not
look at
what
the
I
drone
said.
look at the drone technology. I mean, look at the
But
drone
hold on a
shows.
second,
I mean, they're
anti-NSA, before you go on to the drone technology. That's not what he said. Go ahead, clarify, Richard.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. Like China has its own technology that it certainly is every bit in a number of domains equal or in some respects superior to us and the that we have. But you wouldn't. I didn't allude even for a second that China has the technology that we have as a reason because they need it because they bought it stolen from the Israelis. They would use that technology to as a deterrent to thwart and defend against our own technologies that we would use against them. That's guerrilla war
sure, sure.
101.
If maybe I heard you the wrong way. It seemed like there was some, but no, that's a fair statement. But the yeah, the fact is though, I think that the U.S. is overestimating. I mean, what did they change their defense policy in 1993, that they had said that we have to combat China by 2027, um, and after that point, the U.S. will no longer be able to actually overcome China. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I honestly, my own personal speculation is that Israel is being used as a mad dog for the U.S. and even though they have their own prerogative as they always have, um, the U.S.'s ultimate prerogative is China, and I know that somebody said what would be the benefits if you close the Strait of Hormuz and who would benefit from it. Well, it it would I think it maybe in the long run it would be beneficial. It would certainly hurt Europe. It would hurt a lot of places, but I think it would also severely hurt China, and it would corner them. You know, you have as the next domino to fall, would they probably be going after um, Pakistan, it being somewhat of an ally to China, and then I don't know. Some people say Turkey. But I don't know. Turkey seems to be pretty well in NATO right now. Um, but yeah, I'll give up the mic. But I think that it would be very very hurtful. And as far as I know, I know there was a statement earlier today that they were going to close the Strait of Hormuz to everything. That's not happening. And the last guy that was on here said it was just a theory that wasn't an official. It was a ex official. Um, but if they were to stop LNG, um, that would actually benefit the U.S. I think, ironically, if they stop just LNG selectively, especially with the LNG that they've been trying to push on Europe with all the stations they've been making for it. I'll give up the mic.
Okay, thank you for that. And Carl has joined us. Before I come to you, Carl, I just want to reset and welcome everybody here. It's about 2:16 a.m. here on the East Coast. We are holding this down 24/7, where you can get all the news as it comes in live regarding Iran and Israel, and now possibly the United States. So with that being said, repost the space, please. Hit the little purple pill, repost, quote post, and also make sure you're following Solomon and Khaleesi and everybody else on the panel, and hit their notifications. Specifically Solomon and Khaleesi, because whenever this has crashed a few times, especially with the little attacks that we've been getting, and that way you'll get notified immediately. But with that being said, I'm going to send the mic over to you, Carl. How are you? And welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I wanted to say that is absolutely correct, Abu Wednesday. And I said it from the first space here on X. I only made open an account last year, so yeah, I didn't like social media, but because of Raza, I decided to open an account. The, the Jews are not like any people that I know of. Okay, I mean, while Palestinians or Iranians, okay, they will always like, I don't know why they will make the distinction, even though in reality such distinction is negligible, okay, between Zionists, Israelis, or Jews, okay. Um, the Israelis, the Jews never make such distinction, okay. You know, if you go to the Telegram groups, when there are missiles from Iran, they pray that the missile will fall on Gaza. Like it is not enough what they are still doing in Gaza. Like you need to understand their mentality. They never like distinguish between the good Palestinian or the bad Palestinian. Not that they are bad Palestinians. I don't think I support Hamas. I don't think that Hamas are bad. Yeah, but I'm saying according to them, there is no distinction, never distinction. Okay, they will curse you if you will suggest a distinction. If you suggest even that baby should not be murdered, okay, they will attack you. So, but so you have like, how can I say it? If I play tennis against you, but I don't have rules, I serve to where I want, I hit the ball to where I want, but you are obliged to the rules, I will beat you. Yeah, it will be I will beat you. 6 love, 6 love, 6 love. Okay, so yeah, so it's the same. That is a problem because you cannot win if, as I say, your enemy have no rules. Yeah, and that is my first point. My second point, um, I cannot bear anymore this Jewish supremacy. They think that everyone owe them, like they think America must join the war of terror and aggression against Iran. Because what the Jews want from Iran? They want Iran to be Gaza. Okay, they want Iran to be the Palestinians. That they will have no weapons, no missiles, no ability to produce missiles. Um, Nothing, okay? No defense systems, nothing. Like in Palestine, like the Jew can go to Palestine and do what he wants. Okay, that's what he wants in Iran.
Imperial dogs. There is nothing that's too low for them.
You're a disgrace to your own kind.
By the gods, what's this world coming to? Watch what you're doing.